Okay, folks, we're going to give this another shot. Can people hear me now? I rebooted the computer, played around with some stuff. I'm really still not happy with the camera, but if people can hear me, let me know and I will proceed. So can you hear me? Everything good? See, it's amazing, isn't it? Okay, I have no idea what I do every time I mess with technology. I don't know, but I'm really not happy with this camera, but we're going to go. We're going to go with it. So I'm here and I'm really, really happy to be part of this great broadcast. And I just want to talk a little bit about what perspective we bring to the party, because it may be a little different. You know, I'm in that that area where I got one foot in the way things are usually done and the other foot way outside that. So, for example, and I honestly think that that's the way we have to look at things today. If I look back, I'll give you an example. I started, I like doing videos, and that's great to get the word out there, because I have a lot of people that follow me on YouTube that aren't on Facebook or anywhere else. And that's a cool, way to get other people to listen. But the printed word or the word on the web blogs, that's going to be huge going forward. And I'm trying now to revitalize a blog that I started maybe back in 2010. So I'm reworking that, and I'm looking at, the things that I focused on in 2010, and I'm looking at 2017, and it's a whole different landscape here, folks, seriously. And I can see you, Allison, how you doing? So we really need to think about the only way to really affect change is to be outside the system. So when people say things to me, and I think it's hysterical, you should run for public office, I say, oh, hell no. I am absolutely not going to work within this system. It's just not going to happen. And there's no such thing as changing the system from within the system, okay? I will keep saying that. And so what I want to say is, like, when it comes to voting, we all do that. I'm not going to support the duopoly. I am a Greene, and I remain committed to the Greens. But let me just say what I think the problem with that is. I think that's. I really love their platform. I love their ideas. I think it is what a progressive platform would look like, and they actually kind of live by their platform, and they really don't take any corporate money, and that's the beauty of them. And the problem is them functioning within the system that does take the corporate money makes it impossible. Unfortunately, anybody who wants to fight for third-party recognition, it's great, but they're going to have to function within this corrupt shithole system, and I don't know any other way to put it. So my ultimate position is that there is no way we can move ourselves forward out of the morass that we are in by keeping our present system. It just doesn't work. And so I come to this from a different perspective. Maybe I really don't believe there's a single redeemable facet of our system. I believe it is all so corrupt and so corporate owned and so of not the people. That being said, people have to realize that when they're organizing, you need to be very careful out there as well. Because some organizations, once they start growing and once the dynamics of personalities get involved, almost mimic the establishment that they're trying to get rid of. And that's the danger. So when I hear people say to me, you know, I don't mind cooperating with other groups, but when people say to me, well, maybe your group can join that group. Well, hell no. I'm not going to do that because I've seen some of that stuff from the inside. And I really don't want to be in that position. So I tread the line where I will cooperate, but I'm not going to be swallowed up. And I don't want big money in my little teeny tiny group. I don't make people join, and I don't make people pay dues. I really, really want people to do stuff on a grassroots level in their areas, in their communities. Here's an example. I've been trying to work on getting a general strike together. Okay, I have a guy, Tom Laney, on Facebook. He's a big union guy. He's been around for many moons like myself. And he knows the value of something like that. And you know, I really, really think that the people have to make that happen. You know, the whole Pussycat March and all that shit, you know, all this Women's March stuff. Now they get their little claws into the gun thing. This is also, it can be controlled. The narrative can be wrapped around the Democratic Party. You know, that money is coming from George Soros in various forms from various places. The beauty of the Soros operation is that he gives money to other little splinter groups that then give money to the activists. And it's difficult to trace if it's not right in front of the American people's face. They're unlikely to dig for that. But that's how you have to, you know, look for George Soros, like everything else. Whatever gets done on the left-hand side of the aisle is 10 times more intricate than what the right-hand side of the aisle does, because the right-hand side of the aisle will do it right in your goddamn face. The left-hand side of the aisle has to hide everything and sneak around and be stealthy. And that's the way they operate. It's a different mentality. So all of these marches that are controlled parades actually are meaningless. That they mean nothing to the people you're trying to get the attention of, because they're engineering it. It's when it becomes organic and it becomes something that the people do that will matter. People, you know, activist organizations who take money from the George Soros, you know, splinter groups. You're just as bad as people who take money from the Koch brothers. There is no difference in influence when it comes to party politics. They all want something for what they're giving you, and that's just the way it goes. It's a palm greasing operation, and it's always has been that way. So you're just buying influence on the left, and that's not okay too. I mean, that's just not okay. We don't need those movements. We need movements that come from the people. The people need to get good and pissed off. I mean, they need to get pissed off enough that they just, you know, throw caution to the wind and do something. You know, we are close enough now, I believe, to a nuclear war that people should be really nervous. I really think, you know, this country has lost its collective freaking mind. And if you're not afraid, then you're not paying attention, or you don't remember the 50s and the 60s and the Cold War back then. I remember it. I remember duck and cover. And when I was little, I thought that would really work. Oh, as long as it doesn't get my body, I'm good. You know, that kind of nonsense. It's nonsense, really. The whole conversation about a limited nuclear war is nonsense. You know, survivable, sustainable. It's nonsense. On its face, it can't even be supported. So the American people need to wake up, and they need to make this movement their movement. And they can't use big money to do it. The temptation is always there, but it can't happen. And first of all, they would not be interested in funding any movement that I did anyway, because they would be expecting something back, and they're not going to get anything that way. So I'm not even going to go there. And you got to understand why they compromise the people they compromise. It's because they know they can be compromised. So, you know, if you're fundraising, that's great. It has to happen. We have to do it. Everybody has to do it. I understand that. But taking money from big donors, I don't think that makes sense. If everybody that follows us on Facebook were to send us $1 through PayPal, then we could fund, billboards for the strike. We could really do some serious outreach, because that's what has to happen. So my passion is trying to get people to think outside the system and to try to get people to think about what real change looks like. And we're not going to do that by voting. That's just a no-go. It's just not going to happen. And all we're going to do, people talk about, we'll make some change is better than no change. And we can't take that stance anymore. We have done that. How many years now have we done that? Okay. And the reason this continues to come up, let me give you the example of our healthcare. The reason it continues to come up every 4 years is you're going to vote for one party or vote for the other party. And one party is going to give you the illusion of supporting your healthcare. Obamacare wasn't healthcare reform. Let's not even go into that. I don't want to get into specifics, but I'm just saying that was the illusion that the Democrats gave you, that they were taking care of healthcare reform, was Obamacare, which is nothing more than Romneycare, which is nothing more than what we had in Massachusetts to begin with, which is no different than you support private industry. But what you have every 4 years is, if you elect a Republican, you have that on steroids, because you have them wanting to go back to the original plan where they could charge unlimited amounts of money for premiums and not cover certain procedures. So it's just a question of, again, the lesser evil. And until we get out of the habit of being satisfied with that, it will always be this way. Unless the people get mad enough to get on the street without a permit. And, maybe it happens in big cities only. But until people do that without a permit and scare the bejesus out of these people, then nothing will change. Every 4 years we'll be sitting there wringing our hands, as we hold these midnight sessions where they tack on amendments to bills to screw us over. That's what'll happen. We all sit here and twiddle our hands and wonder if we're going to be able to keep this at this rate. Can we hang on to this? Well, we all know that healthcare should be a right, not a privilege, but we don't stand up and demand that. We're content to suffer every 4 years the angst of wondering just exactly what the hell we're going to do to take care of our families when they're sick. And until the people get mad enough to say, we're not going to take any more of that shit, this needs to change, then it's never going to change. We're going to keep doing this ad nauseum, and both parties really, quite frankly, suck. They just don't get it. And they don't want to get it. What they really do get is that their palms are being greased by corporate America. Corporate America is running the show here. We have the whole illusion of the Barack Obama regime, and it was a regime. That whole corporate takeover happened under him. This did not happen January 20th of 2017. Okay? This was well on its way there before the dumpster took over. And he is just nothing more than a symptom of a very sick and dead system. And that's exactly what he is, and you can take him out of the equation in 2020 if you want, but there's somebody waiting for him, waiting behind him that thinks just like him. The door's been opened. Why are we entertaining people like Oprah Winfrey even? So think about that. Think about how far we've put the bar down on this whole topic. So until this shit comes from the people, we have to make a mess. I mean, that's really the way it is. And the only way you make a mess is through civil disobedience and refusing to cooperate. As soon as you start cooperating with the system, that's all they see. They don't see, well, I'm cooperating for now, but maybe in 5 months I won't be cooperating. They don't think that way. You're cooperating, you're in, you're good. And if you do not eradicate the root cause of the problem, then this goes on forever. It goes on forever. And this is how we've done it. We've not dealt with the root cause of the problem. You know, before the whole SCOTUS decision, that corporations were people, there were still influence peddlers giving money to politicians. That's been going on for a long time. All the SCOTUS decision did was legalize it. And now we're in a real pickle. There isn't a party in America that's going to file an amendment. They can talk. They've been talking out there, whatever they've been talking out of. I've been signing petitions. I can't tell you how many petitions I sign from politicians about, overturning the Supreme Court decision. It's never that's never happening. They don't go anywhere. I don't believe they really go anywhere. I signed 2 just from Tulsi Gabbard. Okay. I can't tell you how many I've signed from Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders, and whoever else puts their names on those goddamn things. But they don't go anywhere, and they don't accomplish anything. And what's even more ridiculous is the notion that you can sign a petition on whitehouse.gov. Are you kidding me? That's what people, pass off as activism. That's not activism. So we need to restore this country to the people. I don't want to hear about, I don't want to, spout off and talk about our forefathers. Our forefathers were a bunch of white guys. Okay. Rich white guys who wrote something. You know what? It was a good first step. Okay. We are now no longer there. Okay. We are no longer there. And honestly, if this revolution accomplishes anything, it will also need a whole new constitution as far as I'm concerned. We need to look at it, and it needs to be not a constitution written by the rich white people. It needs to be not a constitution that is written by whoever leads the revolution. It needs to be from the people, and we need to figure out the best way to do that. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but whatever happens in this country going forward has to come from us, for good or for bad. Okay, we've had the power taken out of our hands. Because people think that we can't make decisions. Well, we're going to make bad ones and we're going to make good ones, but they need to be our decisions. They do not need to be decisions made by the oligarchs who own our politicians, who own our legislation. So we're going to have to mess this up on our own because they've had plenty of time to mess it up for us. So, that's about where I am. I don't want to take up any more time. I don't. You need to follow me, and I will post. I have, I'm on everything. There isn't a place that I'm not on. And I will, put some stuff up on my timeline. You can follow me in different places, and we're going to be doing some stuff relative to the strike. It's getting close, and I feel the momentum, going on with this. Is growing, but I really do believe people are afraid, and rightfully so. It's a scary thing for people to think about not going to work in this climate. But there are other ways to do this. There are ways to make an impact. Maybe this first time out, we're not all that successful at that. So how about this? People are afraid not to go to work. I got an idea. How about you don't go and buy their products, and then they have to send those people home anyway, because why would they stay open? There's got to be, we've got to come up with a way to scare the elites, and that's the only way this gets done. It gets done, through their pocketbooks. We're talking about, guys like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates, and there's a way around that. I haven't bought anything off Amazon forever, and I'm not going to. But until we get enough people to do that, we're talking about a guy with, $106 billion in wealth, and he can't provide for the basics for his employees. And now he's got a patent on bracelets he's going to make them wear so he can make sure they're being efficient. We got some awful scary shit going down in America, and people don't even realize it's going on. If you guys can do one thing for me, you can go look back in history on how fascism came to these countries. And you will see that no one ever believed in a million years it was going to happen. We can't get into that trap. So I am going to sign off. I really thank you guys for, getting on board today and listening. And you can always reach me in a variety of places. Just go to my Facebook page and leave a post there or send me a message. And, I do videos. You'll see my videos if you, go to my timeline. They're there almost every day. So thanks, guys. Thanks for showing up. You guys have a great afternoon. Hope you enjoy the rest of the activists that are coming on this great broadcast. Thanks, Will. I will catch you guys later. Bye-bye.